What is going on, man? We are back in black in the building. Shout out to everybody out there at the Court Plantation. We're going to make it a quick one. The changing of time. Man, we going to get it. Let's get it. Man. Shout out to everybody out there at the Court Plantation doing what they need to do to survive. Shout out to everybody out there. Shout out to my sisters. Shout out to my brother Dave from No Compromise. Jojo in the building. Shout out to my brother James Youngblood. Texas is definitely in the building. Shout out to the homegirl Shawnee. Philly is definitely in the building. Hey man, and just give yourselves a hand. Let's get it. Man, shout out to my brother James Youngblood. Texas is definitely in the building. Shout out to the homegirl Melina all the way in North Carolina. Shout out to all y'all, man. I wanted to, when I was doing this, thinking of this podcast, I'm just going to flood y'all with some information. And I just want to see what everybody going to think. First of all, changing the time. Sorry, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. I don't see nobody doing the Dougie and jumping around and all that. They looked out of sync, tired, lazy, and done won and haven't had that desire to win in a long time. That's what it looked like. Great game by Philadelphia. I'm happy for the quarterback was named Jalen Hurts, I think. I'm happy for him. He played a phenomenal game. He did a very good job. They just did well as a team. It just goes to show you, man, you got to have that hunger and that want for more to be victorious. But the reason why I was kind of laughing at the situation because me personally, I did not like Patrick Mahomes, the dominant society woman that he's with. I don't care who you with, but I didn't like her behavior when Patrick Mahomes' brother, if I'm not mistaken, was trying to get into a club or something, and she was just kind of ignoring him and acting like, oh, well, if you can't get in the club, I'm still enjoying my time. And that's divisive behavior. That's the go along to get along. Like, I'm going to fuck with you because I'm dating or I'm with your brother who just happens to be black. But I don't really fuck with black people like that. And that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And it really had me to thinking like, I wonder if this quarterback even identifies as a black person. Because most people mix now. The new term is I'm biracial. See, I'm not used to that. Growing up, oh, you black. But it's also depending on who socialized you and how they socialized you. So that's always a difference of opinion. I just wanted to get on here and just get this food for thought. I see all this stuff going on with the tariffs with Trump, and I see all these things going on, and I'm telling black folk the same message. Stay out of it. Don't get involved. R.I.P. to Neely Fuller Jr. R.I.P. to Irv Gotti as well. Stay out of all that. Don't get involved in all that. Don't get involved with the big meat stuff. This is all internet play. And it's a cesspool of it to damage each other's names and brands. And we got to stay focused, man. Shout out to my brother Dave from No Compromise. They are the masters of confusion. If you read Neely Fuller Jr.'s book and really read it and dissect it, it's got a lot of great tools in there. The four-wall effect. We do not need to get together to argue and fight. That is not constructive behavior. If y'all notice, that's why I'm not getting involved in that. Look, we know how 50 is. We know... I've heard nothing but great stories about Big Meech. I remember when I was at the barbershop in downtown Las Vegas, And there was a barber in there, and he used to live in Atlanta, and he said he knew Big Meech, and he was like, that guy is a good guy, and he does a lot of good things for people. And that's all I can go off of. I'm not going to get involved in the who's snitching, you are snitch, too many people are losing their lives behind these reputations and all that, and that's not constructive behavior. That's why you haven't seen me talk about it as much. And I'm not going to talk about it because we are on code, and let's establish being on code, and let's establish having that intrinsic value in each other, whether we like it or not. All this internet goofy back and forth beefs on the internet is just unreal. And I feel like it's such a cesspool of it. That's why I like doing Twitter Spaces with David or being on his podcast and just asking him questions, because that's what we need to hear. And James Youngblood and just everyone. Erica and the Shinies and Natasha's and people that leave the comments and like, look, woo, woo, I love it. You know why? Because that shows me we're moving forward and we're not regressing and we're not talking about things that don't matter. You notice people are marching, whining, repeating in Texas and in Las Vegas and California. You're marching, whining, and repeating about people being deported because they are committing crimes, but you're in the United States of America Incorporated. That's why black folks stay out of it. FBA, stay out of all of that. Look at it, think about it, and move on. Sometimes it's not what would Jesus do? What would Neely Fuller do? Straight up and down. I coined it. You heard it here. What would Neely Fuller do? Because Neely Fuller is not going to go back and forth with you because he knows we are infantile in the system of racism, white supremacy. So RIP to him, RIP to Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. Like, man, those are books to live by. I'm going to keep talking about it. The four-wall effect is cold because the four-wall effect is getting together to argue and fight. That's not constructive behavior. So when I see the internet and I see all the back and forth with the Big Meech and the 50 Cent stuff, man, stay out of that. Don't even choose a side because it's pointless because both parties don't have any power. They have power to us because we don't have access to finances and resources. But if we were to match them up against the dominant society, both individuals have no power in the system of racism, white supremacy. We know that. David knows that. James Youngblood knows that. Tasha knows that. We all know that. That's why you don't hear me commenting about it all the time, because I'm like, that's a time wasting mechanism. It's entertainment. Oh, he's a snitch. Oh, he's not a snitch. You know what's so funny? The dominant society never talks about what their snitches are and what their snitches do. But we love and loathe the, oh yeah, he's a snitch, I'm gonna put him out and all that. That's not constructive behavior. It's replacing that system with a system of justice. And it's just not constructive behavior. What we're doing is just time wasting and arguing about who's the bigger slave. That's all we're really arguing about. And that's why you notice I don't do a lot of podcasts on, oh, well, 50 Cent said this and this. Nah, man, let 50 be him. Let Big Meech be him. Let's, send prayers and condolences to Irv Gotti's family because, we cannot add that family into whatever beef they had going on. He still got kids and relatives that he's probably taking care of and he was helping. So we ought to not be so dogmatic towards each other and then welcoming towards everyone else. Now, this is the question. This is no diss to Vincent or nobody, but I'm going to question y'all. Why is it nobody wants to go against the dominant society? We'll talk about each other and go at each other all day long, but when it's time to go against the dominant society, crickets. We'll have nothing to say. We'll call each other snitches and, oh, look at this whole ass mother. But then when it's time to go at the dominant society, crickets, you don't hear anything. And I think it is because we are infantile in the system of racism, white supremacy. And we know better than to go at the dominant society full throttle because we know what could happen to us. So I'm saying this so you can understand. These people that are being put in front of you sometimes, don't think they're the big bad wolf. The big bad wolf is the unseen hand. Geppetto, that's controlling everything. That has the last say so. And black folk, we don't. We think we do, but we don't. Because the dominant society could change the narrative at any time and they can move the goalpost and change it to something else. And we have to understand that. That's why I'm going to keep saying that's why I don't really get into like, oh, he said he was a snitch and this and that. I love what 50 Cent has done for the black community, but I am very much in disagreement with them having the four wall effect and going back and forth with each other. Oh, you're talking to this person, so I don't fuck with you, so I'm gonna make it public that I don't fuck with you. Sometimes you don't have to make it public. You just move on, move in silence, and just do what you need to do. If you don't agree with someone, that's the difference between the dominant society and everyone else. The dominant society and other racial groups, they know how to not like each other but still do business with each other. We will not do business with each other, hate each other for the rest of our lives, and guess what? That money does not circulate. Doesn't Dr. Claude Anderson talk about circulating money and black labor, white wealth, and empowernomics? Well, how are we circulating money well, if we have a disagreement, we should just part ways, not put it on the internet. I've never agreed with putting it on the internet, going back and forth. That's why when I saw the Big Meech stuff and his son, I just was like, okay, this is not constructive behavior. It's just not. This is what I would ask. What happened to Ghislaine Maxwell? Who's Ghislaine Maxwell? Look her up. Why are they not talking about her? Why are they not talking about Harvey Weinstein? But they will keep reminding you of R. Kelly and keep reminding you of P. Diddy until the cows come home. Because you are doing the devil's work for them. Because if it's that deep, why do they need to incriminate him in the court of public opinion? Just find him guilty and put him in prison. But you're going to parade him around his people because you know a lot of his people are not pleased with his antics. That's what I mean. We got to learn how to just separate. Stop having the four wall effect. Go read the United Independent Compensatory Counter-Racist Code of Ethics by Neely Fuller Jr. I got the 2016 version, so that's revised. But go read the book and just really listen, or go YouTube and listen to how he speaks. He said they're the masters of confusion, and it's a time wasting mechanism because most, in my opinion, reading that book, most black folk, we too busy wanting to study each other and be in competition with each other, and we're not even looking at the other racial groups because if we're listening to Dr. Claude Anderson, it's a competition of resources, right? That's what it's about, right? Okay, so if it's about that, why am I studying the next person? Why am I on the internet praying for the downfall of another person that's doing something constructive on the internet? Because they may have more followers and all that. Look, me and David had this conversation years ago. Dave, you remember? Watch, I bet you David leave a comment. David was like, I'll never get, he's like, Warren G, when I was talking about whoop, 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 I'm getting all these followers, I'm getting all this stuff. Once I start talking about conscious stuff and stuff to help the black community, nothing. And I was like, I know you ain't lying. Do y'all know there was a certain time, YouTube can say whatever they want, but there's a certain time, YouTube wouldn't even let me leave comments on David's YouTube page. Sometimes they'll unsubscribe me. I just got to the point where I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'll just keep subscribing and just support him on my podcast. It was getting that bad. I couldn't leave comments. Then check out what they did. David would leave comments. I wouldn't see the comments for weeks. Tasha know that too. Sometimes I wouldn't leave the comments for weeks. I'm pretty sure at first people were like, damn, Warren ain't even gonna comment back. No, it wouldn't let me respond. Every time I would try to respond, either on my computer or my phone, it wouldn't let me respond. And I just got to the point where I was like, I'm gonna just tell this dude, like, hey bro, it's not letting me leave comments. It's not letting me communicate with you. It just started letting me leave. Like if somebody leave a comment, and I'd be like, man, that's a fact. And then I gotta watch how I leave the comment. Cause if I start going in deep about it, it won't get posted. That's a fact. Because I know we are doing what Neely Fuller Jr. says is we are having constructive behavior. You see what I'm saying? When it's non-constructive, they're going to let you leave comments. That's why, you know how many times my Twitter got canceled when I started leaving constructive comments? But when I was leaving silly, non-constructive comments, it was getting retweets, all kinds of stuff. That's why I've had so many Twitter accounts because of that. Once I start going in about racism and white supremacy, we're taking your account from you. Oh, your account has been deleted. Oh, man. It's ridiculous. So that's why I feel like we have to have a different perspective. Four wall effect. Let's study that. Let's talk about it. Let's have conversations about it. Constructive behavior only. I'm done. Guilty. I'll holler at y'all. Tell me what y'all think. Peace. You better work.